Hello and welcome to today's live English lesson here on the AM Language YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. It is a Wednesday afternoon, and if you are in Malta, today is a public holiday called Republic Holiday. In today's video, we are looking at the best ways to travel. Now, over the Easter break, we're only giving up a 30-minute lesson, but in this half an hour, I hope that we're able to talk about the best ways to travel. And we're going to look at it from a point of view of trying to give advice and make suggestions on what the best ways are to travel. Hello, Irina F. Good afternoon. Privyet. Welcome to today's lesson. Thank you for joining. Now, I hope my computer is okay in today's lesson. I'm currently having some difficulty with the laptop charger. I've had my Apple for maybe about 10 years. And I think it's definitely what we would say is on its last legs. On its last legs. And this is a good term. When something is on its last legs, it means it still works, but it won't work for long. It's nearly dead. So that's what we mean by the idiom on its last legs. And I would say that my laptop at the moment is definitely on its last legs. So if I suddenly disappear during the lesson, that's because my computer has decided to go bang, really, on its last legs. So yes, my computer is on its last legs, and hopefully it's okay. I am thinking of getting a new laptop anyway. Like I said, this is about 10 years old. But it's done well. I mean, it's a MacBook Pro, and it's you know what? It's done a very good job. But it's now the time to actually look for a new laptop, I would say. Anyway, the best ways to travel. Now, I'm going to suggest that we look at it from two angles. Leondina, good afternoon. Buon pomeriggio, and welcome to today's lesson. I'm going to suggest Evelina, good afternoon as well. Thank you for joining. Today's a more of a conversation-based lesson, but I think we can approach it from two different angles. I think we can approach first from how you would travel in your own country, and then giving advice when it comes to traveling in other countries. So, if you were in the UK, first of all, the first question is, what's the best way to get around? Okay. So that's how we would ask this question. What's the best way to get around? Which simply means what are the best ways to travel and to see the place. And this is why this is a good phrase. What's the best way? So as you can see, what are the best ways to travel and to see the place? What's the best way to travel and see the place? So if you're going to ask this normally, you would use quite a few words. But as we can see, we can reduce our word count simply by saying, what's the best way to get around? I'm going to give you my examples, and then you can give yours. So in the UK, what would my advice be? Well, I would say the best way to see the place. Notice how I'm using different language. I'm saying the same thing, but in different ways. So the best way to see the place is via a trains, underground, and public transport. So what have I done here? Well, I've said I would say the best way to see the place. Now, notice, instead of saying the best way to travel or the best way to get around, I've gone with I would say the best way to see the place. Now, why is that? The best way to get around, the best way to see the place. We're saying the same thing with slightly different words, and this is a really important skill to do in any language. Answer the question, but you don't need to repeat. You don't need to repeat the question word for word when you are answering. So, I would say the best way to see the place is via the trains, underground, and public transport. Now, I mean, that's because the UK is very, very well structured in terms of how it's built. So let's see how you guys say. You can, of course, you can rent a car and explore. Notice again, instead of saying get around, I've used explore. So alternatives to get around that I've used is A, see a place, and B, explore. So it's really important that you don't repeat the same words again and again. Play around with the language, change things up. So what about you guys? What's the best way to get around in your country? And then we'll look at it from like a traveling point of view. So first home country, then travel. Let me know in the live chat section how you would answer. Think about the synonyms, the different ways of answering this question. What's the best way to get around in your country? You've got some alternatives. See a place, explore, and before you use those terms, you need to say what type of transport you are suggesting, and all of this is to do with suggesting language. You are suggesting. You are saying my advice is, or my advice would be. So let's see what you guys say, and then we'll move on to the next thing. But like I said, the real skill in this is knowing how to answer a question, and at the same time, you don't repeat the same words. So the best way to get around the place. You can rent a car. Alternative to get around, see a place, explore. So what are the best way? Actually, wait a minute. I've just seen something. I've noticed I made a mistake, and it's over here, and I'll explain what the mistake is. I've used R. Now, if I've used R, then I have to use S. What are the best ways to get to travel and see the place? I needed to put an S on the end of ways there. If I went with is, then I could say what is the best way to get around the place. So it's important that you pay attention to that. I mean, I missed it just now. So yes, it's really important that when you do write these, your verb to be, is, or are is going to change some things. Now, if I were to predict what would be the best ways to get around Italy, for example, let's see. Well, Leondina says, my advice is to explore our beautiful sights by the sightseeing bus. By the sightseeing bus. I would say instead of by, go with via. Okay, via the sightseeing bus, via the sightseeing bus or buses. Via is really important. Via simply means this is the way to do something, or this is the way we are doing something. So now let's look at another situation. Giving your advice where you are going to travel in a different country. So I'm going to talk about. Now I've been very lucky because I can happily say that I have been to the Galapagos. So this is my suggestion. Then pick your country, your island, your place, and then tell me how you would advise to travel around. Pick a holiday place, not your local place for this question. So the Galapagos. What's the best way to see the place? That's the question. So what is my answer going to be? Now, based off my experience, I would suggest uh, traveling in a group. Um, you will have to take some boats to see different islands, but make sure you have seasick pills with you or on you. Now, let's have a little look at the way I've gone about answering this question here to do with the Galapagos. Seasick tablets. Seasick pills, seasick tablets. So that's my answer. Now, the first thing we've gone is based off my experience. Based off my experience. Of course, this is talking about your personal experience. Makes a really big difference. So based off my experience, I would suggest really important terminology. I would suggest, now you've got a few other options. Suggest, encourage, advise, whatever it might be. I would advise, I would encourage, I would suggest traveling in a group. You will have to take some boats to see the different islands, but make sure you have seasick pills or seasick tablets on you. And that would be my advice. Now, I remember, when I was in the Galapagos, I remember feeling seasick. And I don't get seasick very easily. But on this occasion, wow, I got really, I didn't actually get sick, but I felt seasick. And the reason is you end up going in these fast boats and you want to sit in the back. If you sit in the front or in the middle, you are going up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's like 2 hours. It's a 2 hour journey between islands. And 2 hours going up and down, up and down. Oh my gosh, you end up feeling sick. So you will need seasick tablets without question. I strongly advise that. So, based off my experience, this is a really good way to say from my personal experience. To talk about your personal experience, I would suggest, I would encourage, I advise. These are good sentences you guys can use. So, let me know. Think of a place that you guys have been to on holiday, and let me know what the best way, what you would recommend. Actually, that's another one. I would recommend. I would recommend taking. Actually, this is a point. Let me just point this out. By the way, when you're giving advice or suggestions, look at the grammar structure. Pronoun plus would plus verb plus gerund. Look at that. I would suggest taking. I would encourage taking. I would advise taking. I would recommend taking. Notice the grammar structure here. You've got would, verb, and then the gerund. You need that ing. So when you answer, make sure you answer with that structure. Let's see what you guys suggest in the live chat when as it's your turn. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to answer that question. Just to remind you what the question is. Choose a location you have been to on holiday and uh, give advice on on what the best way on give advice on seeing the place. Let's go with that. So those are the instructions. Choose a location you have been to on holiday and give advice on seeing the place. You've got choices here based off my experience. I would recommend taking. I would suggest encouraging. You always need that collocation there. So I'm going to give you guys just another minute, then I'll come in with the correct answer. And then we'll move on to the next language point. If you haven't been to the Galapagos, I strongly recommend. I mean, look, in order to get to the Galapagos, you'd have to fly to somewhere like Ecuador, get a plane, and it's about a 3.5 hour journey to the Galapagos Islands. And once you're there, okay, yeah, they have internet. It's not great internet though. The thing about the Galapagos Islands, it's all about the wildlife. That's what I would say. If you ever go to the Galapagos, make sure you enjoy the wildlife and make sure you have a GoPro camera that is waterproof because wow, I mean the nature in the sea is just incredible. Evelyn says, I recommended the Spain. The people are very friendly as in Italy. Okay, so you don't need the article the when it comes to a country like Spain. You only need the if the is in the title, like the USA, the United Kingdom. The is not required in Spain. So you'd say, I would recommend Spain because because this is a because moment, because the people are friendly. Okay, so look at the difference here. I would recommend Spain because the people are friendly. You get straight to your point. Okay, I'll give you guys one more minute, then I'll come in with my next suggestion. Okay. I mean, look, this can be a little bit difficult when traveling. It's easy to say what you want to say and still get it wrong. Evelina says, okay, and thank you. So let's look at the next thing. If you want to come in with your answers. Okay, so Leondina has said, I've been in Kangaroo Island in Australia, and I would recommend taking a windbreaker because of the wind because of the wind is particularly cold. Okay, let's see what you're saying here. Nearly 100%. I have been to Kangaroo Island in Australia, and I would. You've already said, yeah, and I would recommend taking a windbreaker. A windbreaker because of the strength of the wind. That's all you needed to say. So I've been to Kangaroo Island in Australia, and I would recommend taking a windbreaker because of the strength of the wind. That's just sensible. That's just common sense. If you've got strong wind, you need a windbreaker. That's all you need to do. But look at the construction. I would recommend getting. Leondina clearly did this correct. I would recommend taking. So that works. I've been in. No, you would say I've been to. Whatever you're saying a place, you've been to that place. It's important you use the normal version rather than playing around with the preposition or anything like that. Okay. So a couple of you have given your answers. Let's go for one more question, see what your answer is. Simple question. In your eyes, so in your eyes is the same as asking from your point of view. How highly rated is the bar? Sorry, is the bus? This is a good turn of phrase. How highly rated? How highly rated simply means really you're asking for the different level, but you're really asking if something is good enough. So when you hear in your eyes how highly rated is the bus, you're really hearing how highly rated. You're asking if some how highly rated. If you ask someone how highly rated something is, you are asking if something is good enough. That's what you really want to know when you ask that. So I'm going to give you a choice here. I've been to Kangaroo Island, and I would recommend taking a windbreaker because of the strength of the wind. So how can we ask this next question with you guys giving your answer? Let's see. So the question here, how highly rated is the travel industry at the moment? Leave your answers in the live chat section, and then we can get back to it. So how highly rated is the travel industry at the moment? You can see that how highly rated is the same thing as saying you're asking if something is good. And that's what you're saying. So how highly rated is the travel industry at the moment? Well, the more positive answer you give, the better rated that thing is. So you'd have to think of your question quite carefully. If you want a bit of context, we could say, well, here you've just got the travel industry as a whole. Yeah, let's see what you guys say with this. Okay, so effectively, in your country, how popular is travel at the moment? That's what this question is really asking. At the moment, in your country, how highly rated are is it highly rated? Are these holidays highly rated? Let's see what you say. And that will then take us roughly to the end of today's lesson. Don't forget, guys, I will be back tomorrow. Let me just remind myself actually what I'm doing tomorrow, though, because that is always helpful. Okay, so tomorrow, Thursday, movie suggestions for Easter weekend. So that's what we're looking for this weekend. So, guys, just to recap, I've been to Kangaroo Island in Australia, and I would recommend taking a windbreaker because of wind. So, the question, next bit, in your eyes, how highly rated is the bus? That's a very good question if you're on your own and you're traveling. In your eyes, from your point of view, again, a really important bit of language. Next one, how highly rated, or you're asking if something is good enough. Yeah, how highly rated is something? That is asking, is this product well recommended by sources I trust, and so on and so forth. And finally, how highly rated is the travel industry at the moment? Really good question. You can probably only guess. For this one, you can say, I would imagine it must be something. So how highly rated is the travel industry at the moment? If you don't know the exact answer, you can go with, I would imagine it must be something, between something. So it's important that you know these little phrases. I'll give you guys one more minute, and then that's going to bring us to the end of today's lesson. What I would encourage you guys to do is leave your comments in the live chat below. That's always helpful. And I know that this is a bit of a quiet period. It is Easter, but we'll be back to normal, our normal routine come Monday, actually, Monday or Tuesday. Okay, so 30 more seconds. Let's see if you guys can answer this question. I've been to in your so the question is to do with ice, to do with windbreakers. So Leondina says, in Italy, it is not possible to move among the different regions at the moment. At the moment, regions as the situation of COVID, you don't need the COVID of COVID-19 is not getting better, unfortunately. Okay, so in Italy, it is in Italy. It is not possible to move them, whatever them is, among the, the different. Okay. What you're saying in Italy, it is not, or it was not possible to move them among the different regions. Okay, so in Italy, you would say this at the moment. So in Italy, it's not possible to move among the different regions as the situation with COVID is not getting better. Yeah, so you just need to change that first bit, Leondina. In Italy, it is, or it was not, in this case, it is not actually, still ongoing. It is not possible to move among the different regions. That's what I would encourage you to say there, Leondina. Evelina says that she agrees with Leondina. At the moment, it is impossible. And Arena F says in Russia, domestic tourism is on the rise now. Okay, well, I know that's what a few countries want to achieve. Anyway, we've come to the end of today's lesson. I'm sorry it's only 30 minutes. Next week, we will return to normal. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and if you have any sentences of your own or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. A big thank you to Leondina, Evelina, and Irina F for your participation in today's lesson. I hope everyone else who's watching make sure that you like the video and look at the live chat section, because that's where the action happens. So take care and thank you very much. See you tomorrow, says Leondina. See you tomorrow. Irina F, thank you and take care. You too, Irina F. Take care. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, and that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Take care and see you tomorrow. Bye for now.